Most people don't realize how much of their life is spent reacting. Reacting to words, opinions, messages, and subtle social pressure. Every reaction you give becomes information. It tells others how to influence you, how to reach you, how to control your state. When you react instantly, without pause, you surrender control. Not just of the moment, but of your energy and attention. From childhood, we are conditioned to respond quickly. To answer, to defend, to explain, to prove ourselves constantly. Speed becomes a habit. But that speed often comes at the cost of clarity, intention, and internal control. The faster you react, the less you think. And the less you think, the more predictable you become to others. Predictability makes you easy to read, easy to trigger, and easy to influence without you even noticing it happening. This is why mastering your reactions changes everything. Because it removes the leverage others unconsciously have over you. When you stop reacting immediately, something unusual happens. Space appears between stimulus and response. In that space, you regain control. Control over your words, your emotions, your direction, and your presence. Most people are uncomfortable with that space. Silence feels awkward, delay feels unnatural, restraint feels like weakness. But in reality, that pause is power. It is the difference between being controlled and being in control. Imagine receiving criticism and not reacting instantly. No defense, no explanation, just calm observation. The other person expects a reaction. They are waiting for it. And when it doesn't come, the dynamic shifts immediately. You are no longer participating in the same emotional exchange. You are observing it from a position of control. This creates a subtle imbalance, one that places you in a position of strength without saying a single word. Silence, when intentional, communicates more than reaction ever could. It signals confidence, control, and self-possession. It shows that you are not easily moved, not easily influenced, not easily pulled into unnecessary exchanges. At first, this will feel unnatural. Your mind will push you to respond, to fill the silence, to react like before. That urge is conditioning. Years of habit trying to pull you back into automatic behavior. But every time you resist it, even slightly, you weaken that pattern and strengthen a new one. A pattern of control, of awareness, of deliberate, intentional response instead of automatic reaction. This is where real power begins. Not in dominating others, but in mastering yourself completely. Because once you control your reactions, you control your energy. And energy is what drives everything you do. When your energy is not constantly drained by reactions, it becomes available for focus, clarity, and direction. You begin to notice things you missed before. Patterns in people, in behavior, in conversations. You see who tries to provoke you, who seeks validation from you, who depends on your reactions. And with that awareness, you gain choice. The ability to engage or not engage, to respond or remain silent. Most people never reach this point. They remain trapped in cycles of reaction their entire lives. They argue when triggered, explain when questioned, defend when challenged, without ever pausing to think. This constant reaction keeps them exhausted, mentally scattered, and emotionally unstable without understanding why. But when you step out of that cycle, everything begins to change. Slowly at first, then more noticeably over time. Your conversations become calmer, your words more precise, your presence more grounded and controlled. You no longer feel the need to win every exchange, to prove every point, to respond to every comment. That alone saves an enormous amount of mental energy. Energy that most people waste daily without realizing it. Over time, this creates a different kind of confidence. Not loud, not aggressive, but quiet and unshakable. A confidence built on self-control rather than external validation or constant reinforcement from others. People begin to notice this shift. Even if they cannot explain it, they feel it in your presence. They sense that you are not easily influenced, that you are not reacting the way they expect. And because of that, they adjust. Their tone changes, their behavior shifts, their respect increases naturally. Not because you demanded it, but because your behavior created it without effort or explanation. This is the paradox. The less you react, the more control you gain over your environment and interactions. The more control you have, the less you need to prove anything. And the less you prove, the stronger you appear. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming selective with your reactions and your responses. Choosing when to engage, when to speak, when to remain silent. All based on intention, not impulse. That level of control is rare. And because it is rare, it is powerful in ways most people underestimate. It allows you to navigate difficult situations without losing composure, without giving away your energy. It allows you to face criticism without collapsing into defense, to face pressure without reacting emotionally. Over time, this builds resilience. A kind of internal stability that cannot be shaken easily. Because your state is no longer dependent on what others say or do, it is anchored internally. This is what makes someone truly untouchable. Not invincible, but unaffected by unnecessary external influence. They hear everything, but react to very little. They observe everything, but engage only when necessary. Their energy is protected, their attention focused, their presence controlled and deliberate. And in that state, life becomes clearer, simpler, more aligned with intention rather than reaction. Decisions become easier because they are not clouded by emotional noise or external pressure. You begin to act based on values, not impulses. Based on clarity, not temporary emotional states. This creates consistency. And consistency builds trust, both with yourself and with others. You trust your ability to handle situations without reacting, to remain calm under pressure consistently. And others begin to trust your presence. Your words carry weight because they are not overused or reactive. Everything slows down internally, even if the world around you remains fast and chaotic. That internal calm becomes your advantage. A study centered in situations where others lose control. From that place, you can choose your direction deliberately instead of being pushed by every external force. This is freedom in its simplest form. Freedom from constant reaction, from constant emotional disturbance. It is not about avoiding life. It is about engaging with it on your terms, with control and awareness. Each day becomes practice. Noticing when you react, pausing, choosing differently, reinforcing new patterns. Progress is not immediate, but it is consistent if you remain aware and committed to the process. Over time, the pause becomes natural, the silence becomes comfortable, the control becomes automatic. You no longer have to think about it. You simply do not react the way you used to. And that is when the real transformation becomes visible, both to you and to everyone around you. Because at that point, it is no longer a technique. It is who you are. A person who is not easily influenced, not easily triggered, not easily controlled by external forces. A person who chooses responses carefully, who speaks with intention, who moves with clarity. And in that state, something shifts permanently. You stop being pulled in different directions constantly. You become centered, grounded, stable regardless of what happens around you. That stability becomes your strength, your foundation, your quiet advantage in every situation. And from that foundation, you build a life that is deliberate, intentional, and aligned with your values. The moment you stop reacting, you stop giving others control over your internal state. And in that moment, you begin to reclaim your energy, your focus, and your direction completely. That is when you become untouchable, not because nothing affects you, but because you choose what does.